Welcome back to Watch Time once again. I'm going to cover a dodgy area of watch collecting again today. I have previously covered how I spotted a fake Breitling. So today it is how I spotted a fake Hublot. And I don't think I'd need any award for this, it's quite easy. Just as the Breitling was. So Hublot is the French word for porthole. And this is obviously like the porthole of a ship. That's where that design feature comes from. So at least I've got that right here. It does look like a porthole. It does look like an Hublot watch. So it has some sort of leathery strap here. Deploying buckle. And it has like a rubberized back on the leather as well, which is quite common for this sort of watch. Well, when it's real anyway. The case is meant to look like red gold or rose gold, which it sort of does, doesn't it? And it's a chronograph, which is why it's not ticking. 2 pushes on the side. A silver back there. I don't want to say it's stainless steel because I really don't know if it is. And it says Big Bang, which is one of the models that Hublot make when it's real, of course. So yeah, I suppose you could say that on the surface, if you were to just look at this as an average consumer, not a watch expert, you probably at a distance say, well yeah, it certainly looks like an Hublot. And when you feel it, it feels quite heavy. If you put it on the wrist, it has a bit of presence. You know, I think they really have made it look like an Hublot. But as usual with these fakes, especially of this level, it's once you start to get up close that it becomes all too obvious that things are not looking good. First of all, I suppose we should talk about the case material. Obviously not gold. At best, at very, very best, it's plated alloy of some sort, at very best. Which I assume would probably rub off after a while. At first I actually thought the case was plastic, but it's not, it is metal. Not that that makes anything much better, but it is. So that was a giveaway. Obviously, if it were real gold, it would be very heavy. It's heavy, but it's not heavy enough to be real gold. And the colour isn't exactly right for real gold either. It would be a little bit less shiny than this, I'm led to believe. Real gold tends to be a bit duller. This looks a bit too bright to be true. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, you see here on the lugs here, these lugs are very unique to Hublot, and they've obviously done their best to try and make some fake ones, but unfortunately the finishing is really terrible. You might even be able to see there where my thumb is that the lug isn't exactly straight, it's very jagged. So that's been done very quickly into a poor standard. So that's an immediate giveaway, of course. Even this side is even worse actually. If you can see that jagged edge, that would certainly not exist on a real Hublot watch. There's a very high level of finishing and accuracy goes into these. The next is the signature H screws. Obviously they have tried to create something that resembles an H screw. However, they are not aligned parallel to each other. They're not quite right. They're not aligned correctly. So this one's pointing at 2 o'clock, this one's pointing at 12. I think on an Hublot watch, that's something that would not be looked over. I think that would be corrected. And the right amount of tension would be there to make it symmetrical. And the same goes for the H-style screws on the bezel as well. They would all be formatted in exactly the right position to look right. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind there. Little details like that would not be missed on the real product. The bezel itself is 100% plastic. I think on the real thing, the metal that they use varies, and the pieces I've looked at, believe that the bezel is titanium usually. although Hublot are known for using various materials to make watches, so it would definitely not be a low grade of plastic like this is here. So yeah, very, very plasticky, doesn't feel right. Underneath there's a plastic plate which goes around the whole watch case, onto these bits here. Just, I don't know why that's there. It's probably to make up the height of the watch, but obviously you wouldn't find a piece of plastic like this on an Hublot watch. It costs thousands of pounds. Next thing, the crystal, definitely not sapphire. Has a very, very tinny, hollow sound. On an Hublot watch it would be sapphire, and if you've had a few sapphire watches you can start to tell the feel and the sound of a sapphire crystal. Next thing is a watch of this size from Hublot would only be automatic. The only quartz operated watches they make are the 33mm. This is obviously a lot more than the 33mm, and it's quartz operated. The chronograph does work, but it doesn't align to any of the numerals. So even if Hublot did make a quartz watch of this size, the second hand would align to the indices perfectly, and it doesn't. But that being said, the chronograph does work, so at least they have put a real chronograph in, although it doesn't quite align to 12 o'clock, which is very irritating, I have to say. Other thing is, when you pull the crown out, see there, absolutely no give in the crown whatsoever. It moves all over the place. It's a sign of very, very cheap, bad quality. And in fact, if I can show you there, the whole, when you move the crown in and out, the whole dial moves. It's not actually showing. There we go. See that? I mean, that is just a million miles from anything that would happen on a real Hublot. Secondly, for a watch movement to be so poor that it does that, I don't even want to disrespect Miyota by saying it might be made by them, because I think it's leagues worse, in fact. So yes, it does have a real chronograph movement in, but it's such poor quality and placed in the watch so badly that it has no give in the crown, or too much give, in fact, too little resistance. So the watch you can change the watch by hours just by flicking it once, which is not very good for accuracy. And yeah, it's mounted in the watch so badly that the whole watch face moves when you move the crown. So that's quite a disappointing aspect of this piece. So it's got two positions, because it's got a date change as well, which is there at 6 o'clock. I'm not entirely sure if this is consistent with the Hublot watch. I don't know if they use a white backgrounded date. But that's something to keep in mind as well. The date obviously does work as well. To be fair to this thing, it does actually function as a watch. It keeps, it works. Lastly, this is the biggest giveaway. Terrible, terrible quality of metal there on the strap. Really terrible. I'm sure I don't really need to go into why that's terrible. Just look at how low grade that is. You can see all of the tool marks on it and everything. It's just terrible. Other thing is, it's typically not going to do it now, but it comes undone way too easily. So yeah, the deployment works. Yeah, so you can make the strap bigger and smaller. It functions as a watch strap. However, it just comes undone. If you don't click it on exactly right, it just pops open so easily. So it can fall off your wrist in an instant. So that's what happens when you buy poor quality, I'm afraid. So I suppose the answer is, yet again, the fakes and never ever 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 as good as the real thing. But the question I have for you, anybody watching this video, is would you be prepared to pay, above £20,000 for a real gold Hublot, or would you rather pay pennies for this? It is obviously illegal to produce these things, so that is in the equation. Legally, you're not allowed to make these, but would you pay the 20,000 for this? You know, or around that? That's the question. But I suppose the general point of this video is that these watches might look good, but they are very, very fraudulent and badly done, I'm afraid. So if you're going to go down the route of having a fake, I think you'd be better off to buy something real that's at an affordable price. Because I think you would kind of feel a little bit, or a lot bit, of fraud with this. So that is how I spotted this fake Hublot. As I probably said before, I certainly don't need a medal for that. It's really quite obvious. But if anyone has any questions about it, please let me know below. And this is just a bit of a fun video, so I'm sure I'll see you all next time.